Fucking boomerang kawang! God damn it! God, what can I say about Mega Man X that hasn't already been said? This game's a fucking classic in the platformer shooter genre. Back when I was a little piece of shit, my sister used to put emulators on my family computer so that I could play Super Mario Brothers and shit in my free time. My little infant brain only recognized the M in front of the Mario and I accidentally loaded up Mega Man 4 of all games instead of Mario. How that happened, I don't know, I was a fucking dumbass kid. But unlike other games I mistakenly played thinking they were something else and then getting traumatized into the fucking Shadow Realm, I fell in love with it. I was horrible at it, yeah, but the game was unlike anything I've ever played at the time. Though I was too young to really understand what I was doing, the main character explodes into fucking blueberries and has a fucking plasma gun for an arm. Like, that's fucking rad! I'd love to talk about these games sometime, but these games really do deserve a video on their own. Fast forward a few years into the future and I've just fallen in love with the franchise. I remember on my 7th birthday, my brother gave me his old Super Nintendo, complete with all of his old SNES games. One of them being Mega Man X, and I remember being so fucking stoked on that day. The year before, my same brother bought me Mega Man X5 on PC, which I still have, and that probably explains why I still enjoy the game, even though it has really mediocre reviews. I remember begging my parents to let me play it on the family TV, which was the only TV in the apartment. And after a few minutes of begging and crying, they finally let me have a go at it, and I remember the first thought in my head being, why can't I dash? To this day, I still vividly remember my sister telling me, just press down and jump, which led to me thinking that the cartridge was broken or something. Granted, down and jump is how you slide in the classic Mega Man games, which isn't how you dash in the new ones, but I still was confused about it. I even remember getting to this fucking pink pole and being terrified of what could be behind it. I was a fucking pussy back then, and I didn't want anything to do with whatever was behind that pink pole. I don't think I got over my fear of this fucking pink pole for another week, but once I did, I was just completely blown away. This big hulking mass of a metal robot jumps down and just starts fucking your shit up. I was too little to understand scripted sequences in games like this that weren't cutscenes, given that the only games I played back then were Chicken Invaders, Island Wars, Millennium Digger. Fucking Millennium Digger. Why do the enemies moan when I kill them? But this motherfucker just decimates you. And you're forced to sit there and watch as he taunts you through these text boxes. If it wasn't for Zero coming in to save your ass, X would have been toast. And this right here is what sets my expectations for all video games to come. Sure, they're low expectations, but god if this intro didn't leave an impression. Oh, right, I guess I should go over the little bit of story this game has to offer. A lot of it is explained in the instruction manual and this painfully slow introduction sequence, which is honestly a bit surreal. Like, I'm not sure if that's the right word for this sort of thing, but from the BIOS screen to the in-depth look at Mega Man X's specifications and a loud, irritating as fuck warning saying that X is the first of a new generation of robots which contain an innovative new feature, the ability to think, feel, and make their own decisions. Adding in, I fear that no one on Earth would be able to stop him. 30 years will be required before we could safely confirm his reliability. This whole moment is supposed to imply that some time has passed since the classic Mega Man series, as the original Mega Man isn't even mentioned and Dr. Light appears as a hologram with pre-recorded messages he left after sealing Mega Man X underground. The man who found X, as I'll be referring to him for the rest of this review, was Dr. Kane, an archaeologist who found Dr. Light's old lab underground, and later X. Dr. Kane attempted to reverse engineer the Blue Bomber to give birth to the replicants, to the Reploids, a series of robots built with X's free will and free thinking. As time went on, some Reploids later realized that humans aren't worth protecting, even some going as far to want to kill or extinguish humans. These Reploids, classified as defective, were later labeled Mavericks. Dr. Kane put together a task force of Maverick hunters led by the Reploid known as Sigma, with the rest of the team consisting of Chill Penguin, Storm Eagle, Spark Mandrill, Armored Armadillo, Launch Octopus, Boomerang Kawanger, Sting Chameleon, and Flame Mammoth to watch over different sectors of the environment in case of Mavericks, while the main team consisted of X, Zero, and this purple Boba Fett wannabe, Vile. It wasn't long before Sigma said fuck that shit, going Maverick himself, taking along the rest of the team except for X and Zero.
So to take advantage of this power of his, you're planning to go Maverick?
Precisely.
And you want me to help you.
And that's really it for the story. There's not a lot going on with it. Metal Gear Solid, this ain't. But now let's segue into the reason anyone plays a Mega Man X game, and that's for the juicy jump and shoot action. Right off the bat, anyone who's played a Mega Man game before should know what they're getting into. Tight controls and satisfying shooting, but for the first time in the series we have two new game changers. Wall jumping and dashing. Wall jumping alone opens a plethora of new concepts for platforming, as you're no longer restricted to just staying on top of a surface. Now the sides of a platform are just as traversable as any other flat surface in the game. This, in combination with dashing, which you obtain pretty early in the game, turns you into a caffeinated Spider-Man wannabe as you're jumping along the walls, avoiding incoming fire from bosses and enemy alike, and it's fucking fun! Now, if you've ever played a Mega Man game before, you should be familiar with the formula. Beat 8 bosses, collect some power-ups along the way if you're up to it, play 3 to 4 fortress stages, and defeat Dr. Wily. Oh, but this time it's not Dr. Wily, and he's nowhere even to be found in this game. Not even mentioned. Well, yet anyway. Instead, we've got Sigma, whose boss fights are miles more creative than anything Dr. Wily put out. I mean, he doesn't resort to this small-ass UFO after every time he's beaten, so that's a plus. But speaking of those collectible power-ups, this time around they're a lot more helpful. If you haven't noticed this time around, X has a much smaller health bar than his 20XX counterpart. In all 8 of the main stages, there's these new pickups, heart tanks, which increase X's max health a few notches each time you collect one. On top of that, we have the new armor system, which allows permanent changes to how X handles. The dash boots, which expand on the already fluid platforming the game offers. The helmet, which lets you break certain blocks, and though this is only used in a few areas, it does help uncover hidden paths and secrets. The arm upgrade, which gives you a third charge to your X-Buster, and for the first time in Mega Man history, allows you to charge up all 8 of your special weapons, completely changing how they behave and sometimes making them a tad bit more practical than you would think. And finally, the chest piece. Although it doesn't seem like it does much, it does reduce all damage you take by half, effectively doubling your health bar. These combined with the reworked E-tanks, which no longer are just consumables and now passively refill whenever you snag a health pickup, and a new system that has defeated bosses affecting other levels, keeps the game feeling fresh and dynamic on repeat playthroughs. For example, when you kill Chill Penguin, the Flame Mammoth stage gets frozen over, allowing you to grab the heart tank in his stage without taking any damage. Sure, it is possible to get it if you're really desperate, but this allows you to easily snag it, and helps convey to the newbies that you can get it without having to damage boost through the lava. Granted, if you're going for 100%, you will likely see these changes unfold regardless, as you'll need Launch Octopus to flood Stig Chameleon's stage if you want to grab his heart tank. Again, this is possible if you make a pixel-perfect jump with a charged-up shotgun ice, but I don't recommend this shit unless you're trying to break the world record. The bosses this time around, though, I think got the most significant upgrades. Even the wimpier bosses like Chill Penguin can still offer a pretty good challenge your first time around, and though weaknesses can still make the game a cakewalk, letting you brute force some of the bosses with little to no strategy, some of them still require that you memorize some of their telegraphs. And sometimes the weaknesses aren't even just boss killers, but rather just a factor that changes how a boss acts. For example, Electric Spark strips Armored Armadillo of his armor, making him vulnerable during this rolling move, and he won't shoot these energy blasts back at you whenever he blocks a charge shot. Boomerang Cutter also affects Launch Octopus and Flame Mammoth, both disabling an attack of theirs. The fortress this time is pretty cool. It starts off with Vile challenging you and Zero to a rematch, with Zero trying to take him on his own, getting captured in the process. If you're like me, you'd think that you'd finally be able to take this son of a bitch on, but no, nothing fucking works. Every special weapon, their charge variation, even the Hadouken doesn't do shit. Oh right, the Hadouken! I forgot to bring this up earlier. One of the coolest secrets in any video game, and honestly why I became hooked on trying to 100% games like these. If you take the time to collect every heart tank, every E-tank, and every armor piece, go to Armored Armadillo's stage. Before you head off, stop right here. Notice how this bat's different from the rest? This is one of the bats from the classic series, and you can only find him in this one spot. Assuming you're not playing the X collection on GameCube or PS2, this guy almost always drops a 1-up. I'd suggest farming him till you have about 5 or 6 lives just in case, then make it to the end of the stage and try your best not to take any damage. I've heard that you can't take any damage while doing this, but I've also heard that you need full weapon energy and full E-tanks by the end of it, which isn't true, so take that with a grain of salt. But once you make it to the end, grab this health pickup, and then just fucking kill yourself. Repeat this over and over, about 5 times until you see an armor capsule show up at the end. You'll be greeted by Dr. Light, dressed like Ryu, and he'll give you the Hadouken from Street Fighter. And it even executes as if you're playing Street Fighter. Down, forward, attack. And as long as you're not playing the X collection, X will even say, and this shit just kills everything. The only compromise is that you have to have full health to use it, but honestly, that seems only fair. Right, okay, back to Vile.
So if you haven't put it together yet, this is yet another scripted fight against Vile. However, this time around, after he defeats you, Zero will jump out of his cage, save you from Vile one last time, sacrificing himself to destroy Vile's ride armor. X gets his health back through the power of convenience, and finally, you're able to throw down sweet vengeance on this guy. And he's piss easy. Even without the Hadouken, Homing Torpedo makes quick work of him, but if you can land a Hadouken on him, it's one of the most goddamn satisfying sensations you'll ever feel. After the fight, Zero tells X that he's not going to make it, and if you forgot to snag the arm upgrade in Flame Mammoth stage, Zero will just give you his buster. Don't let the context fool you though, it's still the same buster, just a different way of obtaining it. Eventually you'll make it through and realize that this game calls back to Mega Man 1 with how the boss rematches work. You'll be fighting them gradually as the stage progresses. Not in a room full of teleporters will you rematch each boss one by one. And though I prefer this method, which is adopted with the rest of the X games, this does kinda help make the fortress feel a bit more organic, in a way that the classic games couldn't quite pull off. And from here on out, the fortress is pretty traditional. You fight the spider fuck, a boss spider, if you will, that requires you to stay on your toes and think fast. This angry wall that throws his facial features at you, and this really goofy dinosaur tank thing that is possible to Hadouken if RNG is on your side, but if not, he's pretty easy to just use his weakness on. At the end of the fortress, you'll finally be able to challenge Sigma himself, who says, "Fuck you, you're not worth my time, kill my fucking dog and then I'll know if you mean business." After killing his poor pooch, the Luke Skywalker wannabe throws off his cloak and comes down at you with all of his easily exploitable glory. After an admittedly pretty pathetic boss fight, Sigma breaks out into his final form, which in all honesty is a pretty challenging fight. He's only vulnerable in the head, and the Hadouken doesn't do shit against him, so you're restricted to either charge shots or his weakness, Rolling Shield. His attacks hurt like hell, but with enough time Sigma will fall. Literally. And his fortress too. X then teleports out, gazes over the cliffside, mourning the loss of Zero, and wondering how long this war will wage on for. And that's Mega Man X. The game really is a classic, and if you are curious, there are still cheap ways you can pick it up today. You can get a digital copy for pretty cheap as long as you have a console with Nintendo's Virtual Console on it. Or if you have a working PS2 or GameCube, pick up the X Collection. It goes for pretty cheap on Amazon or eBay.
Or if you can, it's also available on the SNES Mini, if you can find it.
Overall, it's safe to say that Mega Man X is one of my favorite games on the Super Nintendo, if not one of my favorite games of all time. Definitely in my top 3. The music, the graphics, the gameplay, it's all finely tuned, like as if Capcom set out to make the ultimate culmination of the Mega Man franchise. And I honestly would have been content if this was the last Mega Man game they ever put out. Thankfully it wasn't, and we've seen some damn good ones, but that doesn't change that Mega Man sorta hit the shitter recently. Sure, there's that Mega Man 30th anniversary thing that we're planning for a big reveal in December, but honestly I'm not expecting too much from that. Who knows, maybe Mega Man will make a comeback someday. Hell, Metroid did it this year. Hopefully we can see Mega Man follow suit.
Wait, hold up. Hey, past me, I've come from the future to tell you, Mega Man's fucking back.
Turns out that December livestream really was the light at the end of the tunnel. Capcom announced on December 4th that Mega Man 11 will be coming in 2018 to all current consoles, including the Switch! Finally, I was worried that I would have to keep playing Mighty Gunvolt for my Mega Man fix.
But not only that, it's Mega Man X 1 through 8. Yeah, including the 2 shitty ones. It's like, for the first time in almost a decade, my life feels like it has purpose again. It's only a matter of time until Capcom goes, "Hey, wanna make another Mega Man X game?"
Come on, Capcom! What happened to my boy Axel? Jeez, that was a clusterfuck. I don't know if you guys noticed, my mic quality was a little bit inconsistent there. The reason for that is that I was just using this generic studio mic that I got on sale on Amazon a couple years back. I've used it for a while, but you had to get really close to that thing if you wanted it to actually come out in good quality, and, you know, sometimes when you're recording, you tend to sway. And that led to a lot of, inconsistencies. Since I've been editing this, I actually upgraded to the Blue Yeti, and this thing's fucking awesome compared to my old mic. This was the first video I planned on doing after I wanted to revive my channel, and it took a lot longer than I anticipated. I mean, I've gone through 2 different microphones since. Like, I started working on this in the beginning of November, and then I was like, hey, I want to make YouTube videos. I tried doing a shitty Punisher review. I hate it, but I'm gonna leave it up because I want to be transparent. But, man, this took a while. So, I really hope you guys enjoyed this, and I really want to get into doing game reviews. Are there any games that you'd like to see me review? I'm down for anything. I just have to be able to play it, that's my only stipulation. I've had my sights set on either Doom or Far Cry Blood Dragon. I don't know why, I just really want to pick those games back up that I haven't touched in a while, and go like, hey, are they really that good? But either way, thanks so much for watching. I'm that Trav guy, and I really hope you liked it.